Hi guys, today we are going to use our graphing calculator. How exciting, because I missed it. We are going to use our graphing calculator to identify the local extrema, as also to identify intervals where the function is increasing or decreasing. So let's go ahead and read those directions. So it says fun problem, because you know math is fun. Use a graphing calculator to find the following. Round all values to one decimal place. Okay, so the function reads f of x equals absolute value of x minus absolute value of x plus 5 minus absolute value of x minus 3. I'm very thankful that we are allowed to use a calculator, so let me go ahead and do that, because else it will take me a little bit longer to spit out. So I picked this problem because I wanted to make sure you know how to find some of those keystrokes. So this is how it's going to go down. So I'm going to show you my window screen, and it's either I show you my my screen or I show you the keypad. I can't do both. Lucky for me, I have my my special effects. It's just a transparency that that I just found it, you know, not that long ago. And then I'm gonna show you the keypad over here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead enter f of x equals. So let's go ahead go to let me go ahead put this up. We're gonna go ahead enter y equals. We don't have ignore that, sorry. Okay, we don't have f of x equals, but we use y1. You know, f of x is just another name for y. Okay, so we want to enter absolute value of x, but the question is, where is that? At a glance, we don't have a dedicated absolute value key, but we're gonna have to find it. So together, I want us to press math. Okay, so we're gonna press math, and then we're gonna hover over to the NUM tab, so for number. Okay, so let's hover over to that tab. You're gonna let me put this higher. Yeah, I need you to use your arrows. Okay, so let's go ahead, go to the arrow, hit number, and then you're gonna scroll down, and ABS, that is the calculator abbreviation for absolute value. So we scrolled, oh, we're already at 1, sorry, I need to pay attention. And then we'll hit enter. So enter is at the very bottom, so go ahead, enter for me. Cool. So depending on your model, you may have the vertical bars for absolute value, or you may have ABS open parenthesis. If you have ABS open parenthesis, then inside you're gonna write down what you're taking the absolute value of, and then you're gonna close the grouping symbol, and your calculator will say that's the absolute value of x. Okay, so in this case we have absolute value of x. Where is x? X is bunched in with these other keys. I forget the name of the Greek letters because it's been a while, okay, but it's this one right here, okay, next to the alpha. So we're gonna hit X, and then let's get out of the absolute value, or we close the grouping symbol depending on your model. So we'll use the side arrows, and then we have the blinker outside the absolute value. What else do we want to put? Minus another absolute value. So I'm gonna put my special effect out of the way. So same process, math, number, absolute value. So math is one of the keys. Number, we hover over to the right. Absolute value, it's already highlighted at option 1, so let's go ahead, hit enter. And then we have x plus 5. So x, I could barely project it, but I think you can see it right there. Okay, so we have x plus 5, and then you either put a close parenthesis if you have an ABS displayed in lieu of the vertical bars. And then minus, you guessed it, another absolute value. So this is never gonna end. I think after doing this for 3 times, you will definitely not forget how to enter the absolute value. So again, we're gonna go ahead, hit the math button. So we click math, and then we hover over to number, and then option 1 for absolute value, and we have absolute value of x minus 3. So again, if you don't have the vertical bars for absolute value, then you will say you will see ABS open parenthesis. You insert so you punch in x minus 3, then you close the grouping symbol. So with that being said, I'm a little bit exhausted, so I forgot the question. It happens. So it says use a graphing calculator to find the following. Round all values to one decimal place. So we're gonna go ahead, hit graph. Okay, so it's on the upper right hand corner. I believe that's right. Okay. So what I'm gonna do a nice screenshot. I'm gonna remind myself of the question. So we want to spit out the intervals where the function is increasing, decreasing, and then we want to identify the local extrema. So local max, local min. I'm gonna go ahead do a screenshot without the axes though. So I'm gonna do, let me see how good am I at drawing. Okay, oh, but first I'm going to put the keystrokes for how to find absolute value. So first we're going to hit the math button. Then we're going to hover over to number. And then we're going to select ABS for absolute value. And then, yes, cool. So let me do a quick sketch. So we have going up, down, down. And then the first peak is a little bit higher. So something like this, something like this, something like this, something like this. If I was really nice to you, I would include the axis, the x-axis and the y-axis, but those mess up my flow, okay? Since we have to identify the local extrema, so the local max, local min, I'm going to go ahead and identify all those high and low points, okay? So this high point, this low point, this high point. So lucky for us, we are allowed to use a calculator. So anytime you want the calculator to compute something for you or calculate something for you, you're gonna use the calculate feature, which is abbreviated by CALC. As you can see, it's not a main key, it's what I call the behind key. So if you want to use the behind key, you're gonna have to enter the button second first, okay? Well, so we hit second. Now that we have it, then we're gonna enter calc. So we're gonna put second calc, and then we want to find all those highs and lows, so those maximum and minimum values. So with your permission, I like to find these from left to right. So I'm gonna find this high point or this maximum. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down to maximum. And before I forget, let me go ahead and write down how I got that. Second calc maximum. I love speaking to myself, as you can see, because that way I can reference my notes and then I'll be like, oh yeah, this is how I do it. Okay, so let's explain the situation. So we want to find this maximum point right here. So let me go to my calculator side. Now when it says left bound, what the calculator is asking you to do is put the cursor somewhere, anywhere. Where's my popsicle stick? Okay. So I'm at my high point right here. So when it says left bound, your calculator is asking you to put the cursor anywhere to the left side of this high point. Anywhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and move the cursor. So the high point is about there, but we want to put it somewhere to the left side. It doesn't matter how far or how close you are. I don't really think about it. I just make sure that the cursor is somewhere to the left, and I believe we're somewhere to the left. We're gonna go ahead, hit enter. Remember, enter as at the bottom of the screen. So there's my special effects. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, hit enter, and then it says right bound question mark. So what the calculator is telling you is this: just put the cursor anywhere to the right of whatever your high point is. So our high point is here, so we want to put the cursor anywhere to the right of it. So I'm at that high point, so let me just put my cursor anywhere over it, and then we're gonna hit enter. Now when it says guess, you have options. You can either move the cursor as close as possible to where you believe the high point is, or you can just hit enter where you're at. So let me go see if I can make this a little bit easier to read. I guess let me see, bear with me. This is why I don't do live lectures. Okay, cool. Now let's go ahead and look at this. I want to point out that we have like a little triangle pointing to the inside, and we have another triangle pointing to the inside. Now what the calculator is gonna do, it's gonna take these two vertical lines, that's gonna be your interval, and it's gonna say, oh, you know what, I forgot I can zoom in. Yeah, okay. So what the calculator is gonna do is this. It's like, okay, I'm gonna look at this interval. Oh yeah, we don't want to see my hands. Give me a sec. I should have cut this impromptu. Okay, because you guys inspire me. Okay, so what the calculator is saying is this. Okay, I'm gonna focus just on this interval, and I'm gonna ignore the rest of the world. And in this interval, I want to identify a maximum value. Okay, so we move the cursor as close as possible and then hit enter, and the maximum is -5, -3, the maximum point. Okay, but we'll deal with how to write the solutions in a bit. So again, I want to identify the high and low points, and then we'll answer the problem. So if I continue tracing this graph, I guess we have a low point. So we want the calculator to calculate something for us. So we're gonna do second calc, not maximum but minimum. So second calc, and then we're gonna hover down to minimum, or you can just enter the number 3. And the minimum point is right here, so it says left bound question mark. So I need you to put your cursor somewhere to the left, anywhere to the left. I think that's close enough, and then we're gonna hit enter. Then it says right bound question mark, so the calculator is asking you to tell it, put your cursor somewhere to the right of it. I think we're good. Guess. So if you had to take a wild guess, where would your low point be? So I mean, I could point to it, I think kind of with precision, but just kidding. Let's go ahead, use our arrows, and I think I overlooked to say use your arrows, but yeah, I'm gonna assume you can read my mind. Okay, so we're gonna use our arrows, you know, to go from side to side, our side arrows, and then we hit guess. And again, what the calculator is saying is this: okay, I got your left bound, I got your right bound, I'm only gonna focus in this zone. In this zone, I'm gonna tell you what the minimum point is. Okay, so we hit enter, and that gives us 0, -8. 0, -8. So then we have a high point. So again, I want to identify all those highs and lows to facilitate the process. Okay, so we want to identify this high point. We want the calculator to do it for us. So we're going to do, once again, second calc, and either max or minimum, maximum or minimum. This is a high point, so we want maximum. So second calc, maximum. Okay, option 4, and then we are going to use our side arrows to put the cursor somewhere to the left. It's a personal choice where. Enter, somewhere to the right. Enter, guess. So let's go ahead and move the cursor to where we believe the answer is. Cool. And that gives us, it's supposed to be a solid 3, integer 3, and integer for y -5. But for some weird reason, my calculator gives me gives me an inconvenient way to write 3 and -5. And if you have a moment, good thing it says round all values to 1 decimal place. So if I round it to 1 decimal place, that should be 3.0. I'll just put 3. For the y, that should be -5.0 or -5. Okay, now the one advantage of taking a screenshot of what we have and identify those highs and lows is that I can put my calculator away for a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to skip the first 2 problems and go straight to the local extrema. So we want to identify the local maxima, or local max abbreviation, or local minima. Bear in mind that the local max or local min, we are focused on identifying the function value, so we want the y. So let's go ahead and look at those high points. And when we look at those high points, we have 2 high points, so we're going to have 2 local maxima. The function values are -3 and -5, so the local max are -3 and -5. Local minimum, there's only 1 low point, and the function value is -8, so we have a local min of -8. For the grand finale, we want to identify the intervals where the function is increasing or decreasing, and they skip the constant because I guess they said it's not flat anywhere. So you know my speech, we're going to go ahead trace this graph from left to right. So when we trace it from left to right, looks like the function started to go up. So we want to tell the reader, okay reader, the graph is increasing from this x value to that x value. So it's pretty much increasing for all values under -5. So it's going to be from -infinity to -5. So interval from -infinity to -5. We are doing open intervals, so we're going to go ahead and do parentheses. So we're going up, and then we're going to go straight down. So we want to tell the reader, hey reader, the function is decreasing from this x value to that x value. So it's decreasing on the interval from x equals -5 to x equals 0. So the interval is from -5 to 0. We're going to go ahead and do open intervals, and then we're going to skyrocket back up where the function is increasing from on the interval from 0 to 3. Again, we look at the x values. We already have an interval where the function is increasing, so if we want to spit out another interval, we have to include the union symbol. So that way we'll tell the reader, okay, the function is increasing. Sorry, I had technical difficulties. My screen went dark. All right, so the function is increasing from x equals 0 to x equals 3. So the interval is from 0 to 3, and we're doing open intervals. And for the grand finale, what comes up must come down. So it looks like the function ends by decreasing or going down. And we want to tell the reader, the function decreases on the interval from 3 to, you guessed it, infinity. And again, we do open intervals. So I believe we answered all the questions, so we're good to go. Thanks, guys.